at this point you just want to take out some of the slack. You don't want to go too crazy. You want to leave like 1 or 2, no, probably about 2 or 3 millimeter slack on all the threads. Just so when you bolt it to the bike, basically, if it was all bolted up tight now, it might not align perfectly, and then you're going to have to bend it or force the bolts excessively. Whereas you want these to bolt to the bike nice and flush, and then tighten up all the other bolts. I'll get on into the minute of why I'm making this video, because there's a little bit of an issue with these Tuaregs from the factory, and what they're doing, they're either not tapping out the holes correctly, or they're over tightening the bolts, and you're just gonna have to tap out the holes to clean up the threads. Because on my girlfriend's bike, when we bought it and we fit in the rack, we noticed that the bolts here that mount it to the bike, when you remove the original bolts, the bolts are all like mashed up on the threads, which makes me think either the holes are not tapped all the way through, or they've over tightened them and stripped the threads. But what we'll do is we'll run a tap down them and clean out the threads. And I already know that on my Tuareg, because I've already had to remove the side cover to sort out the lock that removes the seat, the little bracket that holds the lock wasn't on properly, and I discovered the same thing. So 2 bikes, it can't be a coincidence, and you can never damage a bolt undoing it, so it's not, you know, mechanic error. Okay, right. This little bracket here needs to go like that, so it's like pointing to the front of the vehicle. And 2 more M6 countersunk bolts. Get your nut and your washer. Yeah, should be 1 more in this one. There we go. Get a bit of slack out of these ones. My 10mm and my 4mm Allen key. When this is on the bike, do the final tightment on these. It can be a little bit tricky getting the spanner in underneath, but we'll make it work. It's got plenty of free play. Yeah, that's stage 1 done. Just need to take some tools downstairs now. So this is what we're going to do on my bike. It's the same as what we did for Sorrel's bike. Got a nice low profile top case, but it's easily removable. Then you've got the key, so you can put a bigger one on when we're going to go on longer trips. And you can see we've added the little Krieger rackless luggage adapters here, so we can put the rackless on here. But yeah, the main problem is these bolts here, they're all completely stripped off on mine, and I'm going to run the tap down them to try and clean them up. So you want to remove these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 of them are Allen keys and 2 of them are Torx drive. See, that feels way too tight, and that's a small wrench, but okay, this one's not bad. This one's not bad at all. They haven't over tightened that, but like I said, these ones they have. Let's see what this one is looking like. So that's quite loose. No, they haven't over tightened that one either. But I will show you an example. See, that one has been. Don't know if you can see that. Let me hold it up to the light. Yes, that's been over tightened, which has not even been undone before. So definitely the manufacturer's over tightening them. And let's have a look at this one. So I'm going to have to put a tap down that and clean that one up. And that one's okay. Nope, that one's okay as well. So if you're not familiar with using taps, I recommend doing this by hand, but because I'm very experienced, I use a drill. I've put a bit of oil on the drill, and you just need to carefully make sure you're square. Once it starts biting, if it does, we can back it off. Very carefully. That's more than deep enough. There's not too much coming out on that one. But even this M8 one here, I don't know if you can see it, just looking in at it, it's looking a bit chewed up. They definitely need to calibrate their tools. Right, what I want to do is blast that hole out with brake cleaner now so the thread lock sets. I'll blast them all out, just makes the thread lock set a bit better. Right. Let's have a look at one of these other ones just for curiosity's sake. Because I've only undone the other side, so this would be a good little chance to see. Yeah, you can see again, this one's been over tightened. See all that silver? That's where the threads have rolled over. I will take some pictures and add them in. The two large spacers go on the back fittings here, and then you got these smaller ones that one goes in the middle and the two others go on the front. Okay, it's all going to fit nicely. So you put some thread lock on the bolts. This bottle's nearly empty, so it's coming about a bit too happy sometimes. Right. We'll start with the back ones, I think. We just need to get the washers on. Can be a bit fiddly not to drop the spacer. Just get it started so you've got enough free play to get the other spacers in. It's enough so it won't drop off. That one's twiddled in. It's the centre one that can be a bit tricky to get lined up. I might have to lift it up slightly. Okay. Okay. This one can be a bit of a pain because the hole wasn't quite big enough on Soul's bike. And then the two smaller spaces go on the front. Okay, washer. Start drilling in. Okay, because they're different bolts now, I need to make sure I've got the right size tools. Okay, for the front one you need a T40 Torx drive. Just take some more of the slop out. Just doing it all finger tight for now, so it all lines up nice and straight. This one can be a bit of a bugger because you need to use a long reach socket, Torx drive. Let's see what I've got. Okay, because you might not be able to get your Torx drive on quite square and you're not really going to be able to fit a short one in, I recommend opening this hole up. It might be just because of the powder coat. Let's try it now. Do of opening it a tiny bit more. Let's see. Yeah, you just need a bit more wiggle room just so the tool can line up. Just open the hole up 1/2 mil more. That's what I had to do on Sorrel's bike. It makes it so much easier to remove. Now look, you can get that in nice and easy. That one can be nice and tight because I can tighten these up in a second. I'll just check it's all square, and then we can start tightening it all up. I'm not going to bore you with that. One more nip on that one. Right. Okay, now we go around and tighten up these 6. All you need is your spanner and your Allen key. And I've got bloody throw lock over everything. It's always best to do the tightening with the nut end because otherwise you risk rounding these off. Just doing all a little bit at a time. Come through the gap here, maybe not. These front ones can be a bit tricky to get to. Nope, not too bad. If you ever do need to remove the rack, you shouldn't need to undo these again. It should come off in one piece and all line up again when you put it back on. Just do one last tighten on everything. One is the trickiest, but it might be coming this side. Yeah, it's a bit better coming from the front like that. I'm using my finger there just to hold it on the nut. Makes it a little bit easier. And try not to move the Allen key too much. Okay, that's all on. And then what I'll do when I get my top box eventually, is you just add on these little spacer grommet things that it interlocks with. On the rear here, I need to drill 2 more holes because the type of top box I got isn't a genuine, was it SW Motec?